Okay. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the regular meeting to order and announce that the board did meet in closed session and the following action was taken. Mr. Charles Amy was appointed as principal for Edward Harris Middle School. And I would also like to announce that tonight's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on the district's YouTube channel. I would like to announce that cards are available at the table just outside of the boardroom for anyone who wishes to address the board. If you do wish to address the board, please complete a card and hand it to the staff member at the right of my side. Please be sure to complete the card indicating whether the matter you wish to address is on the agenda or not on the agenda. If the matter is on the agenda, we will assume you wish to speak when it comes time to address that item on the agenda and will hold it until that time. First up, we do have our Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to call on Nathan Olsch and Ian Levine, or Levin, sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, and I will turn it over to Mr. Madison to read some fabulous things about your contributions to Samuel Jackman Middle School.
Okay, and our principal, Mike Anderson, would you come forward too, Mike? Yeah. Okay, this evening the board is pleased to recognize Nathan Ulsh and Ian Levine of the Mack Road Partnership for the support of Samuel Jackman Middle School. Nathan Ulsh is the Deputy Director of the Mack Road Partnership and Reimagine Mack Road Foundation. He came from Portland, Oregon 2 years ago and began working at the Mack Road. His ideas about how to involve our youth at Samuel Jackman Middle School has been a priority, but only came to fruition in the last year when the community center opened. Nathan was able to formalize a youth advisory council that provides professional development, student mentoring, and student access to opportunities such as meeting business owners, obtaining job skills, volunteering, and more. Nathan's experience has been that the partnerships are keys to the community's success. He plans to involve our youth early on and educate them at Samuel Jackman Middle School with after-school support at the Mack Road Valley High Community Center. It is a perfect example of this. Over the last 2 years, he has fostered positive growth, and our partnership has resulted in a safe haven for youth. Ian Levine was hired to manage the Mack Road Valley High Community Center a little over a year ago. He has been a coach and a mentor for kids for over 20 years, and it's his passion. Ian began the Nightmares Chess Club 18 years ago and has taught at several school community centers in the Bay Area and Sacramento. In addition to chess, he is a coach at EGUSD practitioner and can solve Rubik's Cube in 5 minutes. Wow. That's pretty good. Ian currently teaches chess at the community center every Tuesday from 4 to 5 p.m. and looks to begin his jiu-jitsu program as well. Other programs happening at the center are the Homework Assistant Lab, comic book and cartoon class, bike maintenance and repair workshop, and hip-hop self-expression dance class. When Ian first started to work at the center, he was unknown face, and the students' reaction to his presence was that of uncertainty. The first week on the job, he brought his chessboard out to count the courts to introduce the game and himself to the community and kids. He set up a couple of boards and made an announcement to about 40 kids that he was looking for an opponent to play. You could hear a pin drop after his announcement. Finally, one young man stood up and said, "I'll play you." They sat down and began playing, which made the rest of the kids get interested. Most of the students that day had never played chess and began quietly fascinated as the game progressed. Ian continued to bring out his chessboard daily, slowly gaining students' interest and trust. In the last year, he has introduced the game to close to 100 kids and has a core group that plays weekly. The Board of Education is proud to honor Nathan Ulsh, and Ian Levine for their many contributions to Samuel Jackson Middle School and Elk Grove Unified School District. So with that, we'll have the pledge, and please stand and remove your caps and hats.
I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You write down the mic.
Would you like to say anything, either one or both?
Yeah, we'd love to.
Please.
I'm Nathan Olsch, the Deputy Director of Mac Road Partnership, and I just wanted to say thank you for all the support that you've given us throughout the Summer Night Lights specifically, and our summer feed program. As we continue that endeavor, once again, we'd be asking for support, and thank you, thank you, thank you. I also wanted to introduce, obviously, Ian, our Community Center Manager, to talk about what we've done with Jackman in
Please.
partnership with Principal Anderson.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I just want to say thank you as well. It's just the beginning of our relationship with Jackman, and things are going extremely well. What we're trying to do is engage as many of Jackman's students as possible. Like it was mentioned earlier, we want it to be a safe haven for someone to come after school with structure, whether that's the homework assistance lab or our athletic programs, including my chess class. We just want to make sure that there's good communication between Jackman, ourselves, and help improve the students' and parents' lives.
That's great. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you again so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have a special treat, student performances. I'd like to call on Ms. Donna Cherry for our Pleasant Grove Elementary School performance.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. This evening, we invite you to sit back for a few moments and enjoy a wonderful performance by the Pleasant Grove Elementary School Performing Arts Group. This group is led by Mr. Dave Hushback. He's led the group for over 15 years at Pleasant Grove, and the students have had the opportunity to present their artistry in school assemblies as well as in evening performances. Mr. Dave Hushback works tirelessly, he really does, with students to present 2 plays per year. The first one always being Shakespeare for our 6th graders, and the second one being a musical for 4th through 6th grade students, which is presented in the spring. Not only does Mr. Hushback teach students how to perform, he also teaches students how to be essential crew members running and coordinating the computerized music and the theater lights. This year, 50 students have been involved as cast and crew in Back to Bongos. Mr. Hushback dedicates countless hours, evenings and weekends to the performances, and the students have had the opportunity to be a performer and to be a part of an essential crew, not only to develop a love and appreciation for the arts, but it has forever changed the lives of our students. Mr. Dave Hushback. We are also joined this evening by the principal of Pleasant Grove Elementary School, Ms. Deirdre Wood. Can you wave to us? Thank you so much for being here.
sure they can usually hear me. All right, shall we stay up here?
No, I just want to make sure they can hear you.
Okay, but I want to let the kids do the talking. I want to let them show you what they can do. They worked from about 2 months worth of rehearsals, a couple days a week, and they worked very hard. And to come up on the stage, you're going to be doing some adjustments, so hopefully no one's going to fall or trip or do anything like that. But we did a show called Back to Bongos. You're going to hear a little bit about it. And we're going to start out with an announcement. Y'all ready? My tech crew back here, there. By the way, we have Cassie, Luke, and Riley there. It's just some of the kids that were on our tech crew. So I just want to let you know, give them a little recognition because the actors are going to see this right now.
We would like to take you to an imaginary place, Bongo's Burger Shack. At the close of his senior year, Bongo's Burger Shack, a popular teen hangout, was burnt to the ground. 6 faithful friends try to find out what happened in this mystery at their 5-year reunion. Why? Because Betty Lou was blamed for the fire, a crime she never committed. We take you to the time these 6 friends meet up for the first time in 5 years. heated argument, Betty Lou decides to remind everyone how great we have it in the good old USA. Let us fast forward for the sake of our presentation. All is well, and the happy seniors return to the restored Bongo's Burger Shack to celebrate their 5-year reunion and share precious memories from their time in high school.
Can we give them another round of applause, please?
Great job.
I'd like to especially thank all of the parents as well as the students and all of the staff members. And one thing you may not know is that Mr. Hushbeck actually wrote all of the music as well as the script for this play. What a great job. Congratulations. Dave, thank you so much.
That was fantastic. Thank you. And I have to say, good job, Mom, as my colleague here was the proud parent of triplets, which you may not know as well. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. All right, perfect transition to our high school student representative report. It's still fun and upbeat. So we will have Cosumnes Oaks first.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. My name is Maria John,
And my name is Brooke McNeil.
and it is our pleasure to be here tonight representing Cosumnes Oaks High School. We would first like to spotlight two programs that have really shown initiative these past few months, Link Crew and Avid. Link Crew has been busy since the last report. In January, Link Crew hosted the second annual Snowman Soiree, a winter-themed social event to welcome new sophomores, juniors, and seniors to the Wolfpack. Guests and hosts played human bingo, took pictures with Olaf the Snowman, enjoyed Chick-fil-A and nothing but cake donations, cheered for a spontaneous dance-off, and made new friends. In February, Link leaders taught freshman advocacy classes a lesson on how being a part of the pack means showing respect for others, ourselves, and our campus. On March 17th, Link Crew hosted Link Sync, the Wolfpack's first annual lip sync competition. 11 student acts performed as well as 4 super entertaining acts by teachers. This month, Link Crew will host Freshman Fun Days during our extended advocacy testing days, featuring games, music, and snacks. Link Crew will also host Soul Hope Shoe Cutting, which consisted of cutting the upper portion of shoes for children in Uganda to protect them from bug infestation. Finally, next month, our Link leaders will attend their first training in preparation for the 2016-2017 school year. The AVID 12 program is working on a new tradition, the Dorm Project. Students took an anonymous roommate survey and were paired up with their roommate from the class based on their preferences. For example, the study environment they want, what time they like to go to sleep, and how to deal with potential conflict, etc. These roommate pairs were then given a grid with paper cutouts of the relative size of their school-issued furniture, such as desks, wardrobes, extra-large twin beds, etc. Once they figure out the layout of their grids, students take their ideas 3D and build out their dorm in a shoebox using a whole list of materials as well as learning to compromise and work together with someone they may not be normally paired with. The final projects will be voted on by AVID underclassmen, and 2 pairs of roommates will win $25 gift cards to Target to help toward their dorm decorating dreams. Our second blood drive, hosted by National Honor Society, or NHS, was a Mardi Gras theme. It was a huge success. Over 100 pints of blood were donated from students, staff, and community members. In February, Hype, our school dance company, put on their main stage, which was themed Tales from a Toy Box. It was an amazing performance that wonderfully captured all of the hard work that was put into it. On December 9th, ASB hosted a luncheon for all the kids that have special needs, as well as the cafeteria staff. We decorated the multipurpose room holiday-themed and enjoyed a meal with them while interacting with them. This is definitely a tradition we will be continuing on for years to come, as it made a huge impact on all the attendees.
Our second Unity Day was February 3rd. It was a great day for everyone who was able to make it. We spent the day in the small gym and did different icebreakers as we learned more about each other. Later in the day, we were divided up into small groups and got to know our students on a deeper level. We talked about first impressions and did an activity called Cross the Line, which helps students to realize that other people have gone through similar things that they have. Our Blacklight dance was on January 30th. The week preceding the dance was a Spirit Week, where students got to dress according to the theme ending with an amazing blacklight rally where the whole school came dressed in neon and watched performances put on by various groups on campus. Some of these performances included our drumline, Poly Club, and Hype. Starting February, our IMCO program, which is part of PBIS, has been in full swing. This program focuses on the 4 ideals of being respectful, responsible, engaged, and honorable. Students receive certificates for exemplifying these principles. We have some sample cards to show you tonight. We have received over 200 vouchers from teachers that claim their students were one of these pillars. This program has brought leaders together on campus like AVID, Leadership, and Link Crew, who today gave a lesson on being responsible. Last month, our junior class held their prom at the Socopolis Library Galleria in Sacramento on February 27th. Our theme was the Enchanted Forest. Next, we had a Battle of the Den rally on February 19th before the Spirit Week preceding that. During the first week of March, we had our ASB elections to choose our elected officers for next year. Our freshman leadership class did a great job of hosting a karaoke night for the whole school on March 8th. Teachers and students came together and sang their hearts out. Coming up in the school year, we have a Starry Night Ball this Saturday, April 9th at the Arden Hills Country Club. On April 22nd is the opening night for this theater's spring musical Hairspray. We invite you all to attend, as all the actors have been putting in an incredible amount of work. In May, our senior goodbye rally will take place following our Spirit Week. On April 28th, Cosumnes Oaks will be having our first ever block party outdoors with food and games for everyone who qualifies for an academic letter, honor roll certificate, or lamp of learning. Today is our annual Sportsorama, where the 4 grade levels on campus compete for prizes based on skills and decorations. Some events that will be taking place include a tug-of-war competition, pull-up competitions, and crab soccer. It'll be a great event for anyone who attends. Regarding sports, softball is currently 3-1 in league, baseball is 2-4 in league, boys tennis is 5-3, men's volleyball is 0-3. Our track team sent their boys 4x100 team to a meet in Arcadia. Swimming is 3-1 in league, girls soccer is 3-1-1 in league, and boys golf is 5-1 in league, and shot a school record 198 versus Antelope. Congratulations are in order for former coach James Murdoch, who was selected to be the head coach of the Optimist All-Star baseball team in May, and athletic director Bill Kapp, who will be honored as the San Joaquin Section Athletic Director of the Year in San Diego at the California Athletic Directors Association annual meeting on April 16th. Congratulations are also in order for members of CO Band and band director Mike Manganon for winning 2 Excellence and 1 Superior Award at the Empire State Band Competition this past Saturday, April 2nd. We would also like to congratulate 2 of our own CO students for winning 1st and 2nd place in the Elk Grove Western Festival poster competition. 25 hardworking Cosumnes Oaks seniors won Elk Grove Regional Scholarships totaling to $29,875 in scholarships for CO alone. We are very proud of our seniors and incredibly thankful to those who invested in our education. We are also happy to announce that our school will be receiving a bronze medal for academic innovations that will be presented in June at a conference in San Diego for our new Get Focused, Stay Focused program for freshmen. This will be a new class on campus for all freshmen to help them make short and long-term goals and think about their future. This will all be done through programs on Google Chromebooks. Thank you so much for your time and continued support of Cosumnes Oaks High School, and it has been our pleasure to present to you this year.
Excellent report. Thank you. All right, next up we have Sheldon High School.
Good evening, President St. Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I'm Victoria Mitchell.
And I'm Michael Mariano. With only a couple months left for fun here at Sheldon, many events and activities are making our last term of the year memorable. After a rough finals week in March, juniors were able to dance the stress away at prom. Although our midnight masquerade was held on a rainy day, that didn't keep us from shining bright smiles at Masonic Temple. Students enjoyed the photo booth, snacks, and great company of their friends.
On March 18th, our school showed unity at our multicultural assembly. Through club performances such as dances, singing, and spoken word, we recognized and embraced the diversity of our campus. Throughout the week, we had different dress-up days, such as Sunglasses Day, to block out the negativity we may face during high school. We also had Crazy Sock Day to show that we are all unique. Multicultural let us realize that even though we may be different, we can all come together and use those differences to do some amazing things on campus.
After a relaxing spring break, we jumped right back into our Blacklight Rally. Last Friday, our theme this year was Star Wars, Episode 7.5. Luke Skywalker has just discovered a new planet, but he would have to fight Count Dooku for it. The school was split into the Jedi and the Sith, where we battled in games to see who would conquer the planet Sheldon. Both sides tied, so it looks like no one will be going to the dark side anytime soon. The rally wowed the crowd with performances from Korean Music Club, Precision Drill Team, and many more. The fun continued later in the night at our Blacklight Dance. Students came in neon colors and danced until they were out of this world. Returning this spring, Sheldon Sports has been on the fast track to success. Speaking of track and field team has been running strong and has been consistently doing well this season. I would like to mention that Sheldon's very own Haley Farrell and Garrett Gomez Nieto have been awarded the Dale Ackley Scholarship for their astounding feats in running track and academic accomplishments. Also, our women's softball team has hit it off this season and was named number 1 in our league by Max Preps. And our men's baseball team is looking to have a strong season, starting off with 5 wins alone in preseason. Rewind back to basketball season, Matt Manning was awarded Delta League's Player of the Year, and Coach Rawlings was awarded Delta League's Coach of the Year. The rest of our spring sports are looking to have a great season.
We would also like to recognize some outstanding student achievements for our school. Our art students have worked extremely hard over the past few months, and that hard work has paid off. We had 29 students exhibit their work in a show at the Sacramento Fine Arts Gallery, and 7 students won awards for their work. Also, 6 students won awards at the annual Superintendent Show. Jade Jameson won first place in the National Parks Flag Competition and will be representing the state of California in Chicago. The bands and string orchestra performed at the annual CMEA Golden Empire Festival, where the bands received superior ratings and the string orchestra received a good rating. Our band director, James Mazzaferro, was named Section Educator of the Year as well at the festival. Although our success does not stop here, our Science Olympiad team placed 3rd in their regional competition and received an invitation to the state competition as well. Some of our students participated in a competition known as Cyber Patriot, where teams display their abilities to combat cyber attacks. Our teams placed 1st and 2nd in the competition, and we could not be more proud.
We have many more exciting events open to the community this month, especially for our VAPA department. Sheldon Theater Works is proud to present their spring musical, Legally Blonde, open this week. Dates are April 8th, 9th, 14th, 15th, and 16th at 7 o'clock p.m. And there will also be a matinee show on the 16th at 2 o'clock p.m. General admission is $12 and $10 for children 10 and under. Later this month, we will be hosting our 19th annual Arts Alive Night on Thursday, April 28th from 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. We love to showcase the hard work for our students in our VAPA classes such as photography, ceramics, dance, and everything in between. Please come to show your support for the arts and enjoy live demonstrations, galleries, and exhibits, and of course refreshments provided by our Huskies.
It has been a pleasure sharing our memories with you and the community throughout the year and being able to have such an amazing opportunity. Thank you.
Excellent report. Thank you. All right, at this time, I would like to recognize Ms. Maria Osborne, principal for Cosumnes Oaks High School. And I don't believe the principal, Ms. Duncan, is here from Sheldon, but I see that we have our activities director from Sheldon High School present, so thank you. All right, thank you so much for those wonderful reports, students. You may be dismissed and go do some homework. All right, next up we have our athletic recognition. I'd like to call on Rod Edmonston and have Mr. Madison assist.
Good evening. President Singh Allen, members of the school board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. Tonight I am honored to introduce you a very special team, the Elk Grove High School wrestling team. They finished the year as the Delta League champions and the CIF Division I Sac Joaquin Section Team Duels champions. This group of young men finished the season with a 24-1 record. In capturing the second section championship, they defeated Gregory 73-3, Lodi 67-6, and Del Oro in the finals 30-24. The Elk Grove Wrestling program has won 14 consecutive league titles, 32 total league titles in the school's history, and they have not lost a league match since December 19th, 2001. They have won 3 Division I section titles and 2 Division I-A section titles. I would like to acknowledge Kathy Guy, principal of Elk Grove High School. And with that, it is my honor to introduce to you the head coach of Elk Grove High School Wrestling, Pat Coffing, of the 2015-16 Delta League Conference and Sac Joaquin section champion and Elk Grove Wrestling team, who will announce his coaches and wrestlers.
First one of my wrestlers I'd like to announce is state qualifier Todd Alexander. Austin Archuleta. State qualifier Arsenio Ayala. Jacob Badgerow. Ryan El Greco. Spencer Francisconi. Kendall Frank. Carson Gause. Tyler Gore. Zachary Kroc. Roger Monroe. State qualifier Jacob Cito. Matthew Cito. Eric Spence. Kalani Tanji was third in the state tournament this year. State qualifier Lakahi Tanji. Naheli Tanji. State placer Terrell Turner. Charles Van Felden. And Gavin Wheatley.
Parents, feel free to come close and take those fabulous, memorable photographs. Yep, feel free to come as close as you want. Except in front of Zonthi, maybe. Yeah. All right, how about another round of applause? Great work.
Thank you. And I'd just like to acknowledge Coach Coffing. Coach Coffing has built one of the top wrestling programs in the state of California, and it's a great accomplishment for these guys. So thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. All right, next on the agenda, we have our request for student expulsion. I would like to ask if anyone wishes to address the board in closed session regarding a student expulsion recommendation. Seeing none, I would like to call for a motion to approve the request for student expulsions.
I move the request for student expulsion.
Motion to approve for Mr. Fortuna. Second, Mr. Madison. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Very good. All right, next up, we have public comment. I would like to call on anyone submitting a blue card for an item not on the agenda. Currently, I have 3 speakers signed up. First up, Ms. Grace Davis.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hello, my name is Grace Davis, and I'm a freshman at Cosumnes Oaks High School. I'm here today because it has come to my attention that Cosumnes Oaks does not have a monument sign. One of the reasons Cosumnes Oaks needs a sign is because 6 of the 7 schools in Elk Grove have monument signs. We are the one school that does not. The second reason CO needs a sign is because it would differentiate Elizabeth Pinkerton Middle School from the high school. I often have times where I talk to people and they have trouble finding the different schools. The third and final reason we need a sign at Cosumnes Oaks is to help develop more Wolfpack spirit. As a school, the more spirit, the more connected we are. I started a petition 3 weeks ago to see who else would be interested in the sign, and I gathered over 300 signatures. I understand that money may be an issue, but every other school has been provided with the sign, so CO should be given one too. Just picture it, Cosumnes Oaks High School, home of the Wolfpack. Thank you so much for listening to my speech today for why Cosumnes Oaks need a monument sign, and I hope you take it into consideration.
Thank you, young lady. And I would invite you to, if you haven't already, to speak to Principal Osborne, who is here with us this evening, to go over sort of the protocols on the history of how the signs are funded. But thank you so much. It's great to see that civic participation runs in the family, so welcome here.
I have a question. How much does the sign cost?
I am not sure.
So we can ask that, Mr. Perez of staff. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Darren Soon. Councilmember Darren Soon. I'm liking all of this team spirit here.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman. I'm being flanked tonight by Inez Whitlow, Executive Director of Chicks in Crisis, and Diane Hollingshead, our chair for the Run for Hungry event. We're here before you this evening, and we'd like to request your help to raise awareness of and promote participation in 2 events that will benefit these very worthy organizations. The first event is going to occur on April 23rd, and it is being supported by the entire Elk Grove City Council, benefiting Chicks in Crisis, and it's a celebration of Mother's Day. And we're going to have a lot of festivities out there. We're asking folks to come out and celebrate, and also please come to donate funds, diapers, baby supplies, and gently used toys. You know, teen pregnancy is it can be a taboo subject, but it is a reality in our community. And so we really want to raise awareness to this. Folks can come out and vicariously learn about prevention, learn about how to deal with circumstances if they have to face that. The second event is occurring on Saturday, June 25th, and it is for the Run for Hungry. Here you go, Diane. Okay, great. You know, despite the improving economy, there's a lot of Elk Grove families and seniors that are still having challenges of meeting the even most basic needs. And so we want to bring awareness to that. We're hoping that by getting kids involved, they can learn about what the Elk Grove Food Bank does for the city of Elk Grove. So to that end, we're going to make this a little bit of fun, spirited competition. And we want to encourage the schools to enlist whether individual participants or teams. You know, I saw some young men who looked in pretty good shape, wrestlers, to participate in the event and compete against one another, high schools and middle schools. So I also, I want to turn it over, since I have a little time left, I want to see if Diane or Inez wanted to say something to the board.
Okay, so what we did add this year is all the schools in the program when you register, so you can identify the school that you attend. So the school with the most participants or the highest fundraising is going to win a trophy. And right now, we're thinking about the golden can of food. Something, and then at the food bank, then we'll have a perpetual list of the schools that come forth during this event.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys should be so proud. We rock as a school district. I can't, this is my first board meeting, and I'm going to come back for the entertainment. That was just, as an Elk Grovian and graduating from Elk Grove Unified, I just want to hand it to you guys. We rock, and I'm so proud to be a part of our community. Chicks in Crisis supports all of our teen, parent, and pregnant teen in our district. Our goal is making sure they stay in school, maintain their family size, and are going on to college. And those diapers that we collect, make sure that they don't have to drop out of school so that they can focus on their education and not worry about those little things. So I really appreciate you guys, and you're doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and we will definitely do our best to promote it from our district. I know that you've already talked to Ms. Pinkerton to get the word out for both events, and then obviously both of these organizations are very near and dear to my heart as a former board member for the Elk Grove Food Bank, and I also think the world of Inez and what she does for Chicks in Crisis. So I personally will be doing a lot to help out, but I also know that our district will be promoting these worthwhile events and definitely round up some of that friendly competition for the run, and of course do what we can to raise awareness and the necessary resources for Chicks in Crisis.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
All right, next up we have, all right, Mark Graham. Mr. Graham, you also have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, trustees, Superintendent Hoffman, and staff and parents as well. My name is Mark Graham. I live in Elk Grove. 2 weeks from tonight, I'm going to make a presentation to you. It's going to be on the agenda, and it's going to be regarding the subject of Wi-Fi in schools, the wireless radiation, and the health impacts of that wireless radiation. Superintendent Hoffman invited me to meet with him in his office to discuss some of these things prior to that meeting, and I accepted, and we've scheduled it. That's going to be next Monday morning. I'm looking forward to that very much. I want to say a few words now. This is addressed to the board and as well as to the parents in this room. This is information based on what I know. The Elk Grove School District has Wi-Fi, wireless internet connections, in all 65 schools. Typically in a class of 30 students, there will be 30 tablets or iPads or Chromebooks or laptops, each of which is connected to the internet via Wi-Fi, sending and receiving data. And there will be at least one high-powered Wi-Fi router or access point transmitting continuously at 2.4 gigahertz or 5.0 gigahertz. And that means 2.4 billion or 5 billion cycles per second. Typically, some of these access points or the router will be as close as several feet away from the nearest student and probably no more than 20 feet away from any student, depending on the size of the classroom. Electromagnetic radiation bounces off of metal surfaces, including the roof or the walls of the classroom, if it has a metal roof or walls. The closer you are to a source of electromagnetic radiation, the stronger the radiation is, and that goes by the square of the distance away from that source. There are health impacts from wireless radiation, both short-term and long-term. I can see I'm running out of time. In the short term, wireless radiation exposure can cause headaches, dizziness, fainting, nosebleeds, seizures, and difficulty concentrating. In the long term, it can cause childhood leukemia, altered DNA. Altered DNA is a serious one, and there's evidence that it could cause cancer as well. I ask the board, and I'm asking the parents, did the school district ever ask the parents for their consent, for the parents' consent, for you to expose their children to wireless radiation the entire time that they're in the classroom? And if you did ask for that consent, did you notify the parents at the time of some of the health hazards of wireless radiation? I'm going to have to wrap it up there because I'm very close to out of time. I encourage everybody to Google it, look up Citizens for Safe Technology, look up Wi-Fi in schools, look up cell phone hazards. I don't have any children, but I have 4 nieces, and I'll close by saying this is the same advice that I give to my brothers. Keep those cell phones away from your girls. Keep those iPads away from your girls. Protect their health. I will see you in 2 weeks, and I'll see you on Monday morning.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. All right, we have no more blue cards, so we will move on in the agenda. We do not have an LCAP update this evening. We don't have a budget update, so we are on to a facilities update. Mr. Pierce, you're up.
Thank you, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. We wanted to give the board and the community an update tonight because we have been coming before you and having a conversation on a lot of different facilities points, and we thought it would be a good opportunity tonight to kind of bring all that together for you in a quick summary and a quick update of what's going on in the world of facilities. We've been quite busy. As you know, we've had a lot of lengthy conversations with the board, both around future new schools, needs, the master plan in terms of modernization, facility condition assessment, but also some recent bond funding, and also some other opportunities that are going to happen moving forward as we continue to grow and build schools throughout the district. So again, we just wanted to kind of keep you abreast of what's been transpiring since we last had a conversation and let you know how things are proceeding. And of course, my clicker is not going to work tonight. Yes, it is. So first and foremost, in no order of importance, but the board will recall myself and Ms. Lori Ranieri with Government Financial Strategies giving you a number of reports on a opportunity to refund outstanding debt in our Melrose district to the tune of about $78 million. And so those bonds are callable, which gives us this opportunity. We've had a lot of work transpiring in order to put ourselves in a position to call those bonds per the board's previous direction. You may recall of that schedule, tomorrow is actually the sale date of the certificates of participation that we'll be utilizing to refund the outstanding debt of those Melrose bonds. We're very pleased and happy to announce that we're projected to save about $850,000 annually to the taxpayers as a result of this refunding. And for the life of the bonds that we're refunding, we'll be saving the district and the taxpayers about $21 million. Now that's a projected savings based on a couple of potential variables that could change, but things are going well. Just as significantly, it's allowing us the opportunity to generate new money in the certificate of participation to the tune of $30 million, which we will be using for 2 new elementary schools that I'm going to discuss here just shortly. So we will be back before the board on April 19th, Ms. Ranieri and myself, to give you a detailed update of tomorrow's sale. We're excited about it. Everything that we needed to happen, knock on wood, has continued to happen, including Standard & Poor's, which is a rating entity. We needed them to rate the certificates of participation at an A rating. They have done so. So that's a wonderful step in that direction. We will know tomorrow from the market how hungry that market is for our A-rated certificates of participation, but interest rates have continued to be at levels that we need them in order to realize the savings that we projected for you. But again, we'll be back on April 19th to talk to you in more detail. Anatolia 2 Elementary School. It is one of the 2 elementary schools that the COP sale will help us to fund. The other 50% will be coming from developer fees that we've already collected as a result of those homes being built. Pursuant to Public Contract Code, the bids for that project have been previously advertised. They've been out for advertisement just over 1 month. We opened bids today. I can't really give you all the details because we're still analyzing the bids, but suffice it to say that the bids came in within our budgeted allotment for the project. So the recession is over, I can promise you that much. and school construction costs are escalating rapidly, and the market is pretty saturated right now with work. But nonetheless, we will be back to you April 19th after we analyze the bids, recommending a bid award for the new Anatolia Elementary School, and that is set to open in the fall of 2017. We didn't want to compete with ourselves because of the market saturation and the amount of work that's out there, so we separated Anatolia 2 Elementary and Laguna Ridge Elementary 1. So Laguna Ridge will be advertised later this month, towards the end of April, April 22nd and April 29th. We're projected to open bids late May on the 27th, and then we will be bringing Laguna Ridge Elementary to you, should we have successful bids, on June 14th for your award. And similar to Anatolia 2, anticipated completion date and occupancy is fall of 2017. It's a lot of work. I have to thank my staff and the design team to get both of those projects out to bid and completed and approved by the State Architect's Office, where there was a lot of code changes that were required to submit under. So I've referred to those as Anatolia 2 and Laguna Ridge 1 because they have not been officially named. And so because of that, you have those two schools, and as you know in the master plan, a number of future elementary schools to build in the next decade, and potentially one middle school and high school. Because of that, Superintendent Hoffman and I have been talking. Clearly, those two schools need to be named that we hope to open in the fall of 17. In addition to that, we'd like to explore some of the other schools that we know are proceeding quite quickly. So I will be sending the board communication, reiterating to you your board policy and the administrative regulation about how schools are named. So long as you're comfortable with that in the process, we will be asking you to nominate members to the school naming committee pursuant to that board policy. And as always, we will ask that Elizabeth Pinkerton be the facilitator/coordinator of that committee. She knows the history well. And then they will bring to you school naming recommendations for those two elementary schools and other elementary schools. So that's happening at the same time. And pursuant to previous precedent in the district, we like to have our school boundaries in place for our new schools at least 1 year out of occupancy so we can inform those communities. The Arlene Hine and the Sunrise communities, who will be affected mostly from these two new schools, have been notified of what's to take place and what's to happen. So our plan right now, the process itself is being developed by me and my staff. We will be bringing a process and some data and some alternatives to the cabinet on April 13th. We will solicit the input from Ms. Cherry, obviously, and the rest of cabinet as it pertains to those two elementary schools and their new boundaries. And then we will come to the board with a process and some alternatives, not for you to take action necessarily, but just to get a feel for the level of impact that'll take place. And then we will go out to the community in May and June and ask for their feedback, culminating in a draft plan to the board in August, and hopefully approval of the boundaries for the two new elementary schools and any other elementary schools that it might be affecting in September. And then just continuing bond work. We've talked quite a bit about a potential bond measure on the November 2016 ballot, and that continues. So we have continued to refine our required cash flow. So we've been careful about balancing the needs within the master plan and when we think we're going to need to do that work. Kind of hand in hand with that, you see the April bond plan finalization. As we work through the poll and what we know the taxpayers are comfortable, or the voters in that case, are comfortable paying in the way of a tax, we have some upcoming meetings with other entities where we're going to talk tax. But once we get a better feel for the dollar amount, and I think we're pretty comfortable at the moment with $39, we will realize that in an overall bond size, and then we will structure that in a way where we know, should it pass, when it passes, the amount of money that we'll have in basically 2-year increments, and we'll have to apply that cash flow to a project list. And so we will be working through May on a potential project list associated with that cash flow and the bond plan. And then we will be developing proposed ballot measure language. We've already sampled that in the poll. We know what the effective strong language is, but we will be nonetheless drafting the ballot language, because that will be part of the resolution that we will ask you to consider in June to adopt, that will have the county elections office actually place the measure on the November 2016 ballot. And of course, our public engagement's ongoing. It continues. It's going to wrap up quite significantly going into the month of May. But there we are. And with that, just a lot of work. We're really excited about tomorrow, and as well as the 2 new elementary schools that we hope to start construction on this spring and early summer. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Any questions? Ms. Chaitis Espinosa?
Thank you very much for the update. Are you working towards one of the specific meetings in June, or do you not know that yet?
Probably the first meeting in June, which is the 14th, I believe.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I don't want to get out in front of the board or obviously Superintendent Hoffman. Depending on the timing, there are very specific timing requirements, as you all well know. We will meet that even as if we waited as long as the June 28th board meeting, but it wouldn't be out of the question to have a special board meeting just for the adoption of a resolution calling for an election. That's just something that could happen, but right now we're targeting June 14th.
Thank you. Anybody else have a question or comment?
I'm sorry?
I said targeted hard.
Yeah, the last thing we want to do is bring it to you June 28th, which would be the last day that
Yeah,
we
that
could
would be
adopt
bad.
it based on our regular meeting schedule, and have a curveball thrown at us and need to
Yeah.
make an adjustment. We'd like to give it a little time should we need it.
Great. Any other questions, comments from colleagues? I have a question, and this is something actually that Mr. Forcina brought to my attention earlier today, and it's something that I've seen over the last few days, and that is misconceptions or perceptions from the public as to what might be happening as it relates to facilities use in our bonds specifically.
Right.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with, I think it's called Elk Grove Laguna Forum. And
I am.
the subject was posted, and there's so much misinformation in there. It's very tempting for any one of us to perhaps chime in. What is your preferred or the superintendent's preferred way of handling that? Do we want to bring that to communications attention or to your attention so that at least the correct information can be shared? Not in a situation where we're going to get into a debate with any one person, but at least you're sharing correct information, because the last thing I want is just some misinformation that gets circulated and it goes widespread. So what is your
Yeah,
preferred way of handling when we do see those issues?
Certainly I would always invite you to email me, but obviously through Superintendent Hoffman and Ms. Pinkerton. I'm full agreement with you. We need to be careful because we can't advocate,
Right.
but we can always provide accurate information, and we should do so.
Right.
We can't find it all or chase it all, but when it's there, we definitely should chime in, and I think it's very important that it not, at least from my perspective and from staff, it shouldn't just be an individual, so it shouldn't
Right.
be Rob Pierce, but rather the Elk Grove Unified School District,
Right.
which could be best handled through communications. But I would be happy if you're seeing any
Yeah,
misinformation
so
out there to address it.
we'll have Mr. Forcina, either one, because we've seen it over the last few days, and it is, again, very tempting to say something, but I don't want to start a precedent by doing that.
Yeah.
I think it would just obviously be best to have it come through one voice, collective voice. so.
Something like this, a coordinated communication plan and a
Right.
consistent message is very important.
Great. All right. Thank you so much
right,
for
thank
our
you.
update.
All right.
Next up, we have our bargaining units. Any bargaining unit wishing to address the board? Seeing nods of no, we're good? Okay. Thank you. We do not have any reports this evening, so next up, we have our public hearing/action items. And first up, we have our consideration and public notice of Elk Grove Unified School District's initial proposal to ATU regarding collective bargaining for the 2016-17 school year. Mr. Riley.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. Pursuant to Government Code Section 3547, the following are stipulated for negotiations between a bargaining unit and the district. The district's initial proposal is officially presented at a public meeting of the governing board for public notice, and a public hearing is conducted to receive public input regarding the district's initial proposal. The district's initial proposal is attached. It is recommended that after the closure of the public hearing, the board take action to approve the district's initial proposal to ATU.
All right, thank you, Mr. Riley. At this time, I would like to call for a public hearing to receive comments about Elk Grove Unified School District's initial proposal to ATU. All right, I would like to close the public hearing and call for a motion to accept Elk Grove Unified School District's initial proposal to ATU regarding collective bargaining for the 2016 and 17 school year. Motion to approve from Mr. Madison.
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Titus Espinosa. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you, sir. All right, no discussion items or action item. Well, we have an action item on the next section here. Board Resolution National School Library Week. Ms. Tina Penna.
Thank you, and good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I am very pleased tonight to ask you to approve a resolution proclaiming the week of April 10th through 16th as National School Library Week. Annually, National School Library Week is celebrated throughout the month of April, and libraries host special events to highlight the unique roles that libraries play in people's lives. This year's theme is Libraries Transform. This national observance was first initiated in 1958 by the American Library Association to celebrate the contributions of our nation's libraries. As we know, library staff members help students, families, and entire communities discover the world through their vast collections and their digital resources. This evening, I would ask that special recognition be extended to the Elk Grove Unified School District libraries during this week of April 10th through 16th. As part of this recognition, it is essential that we continue to acknowledge the valuable contributions of all library workers, including our librarians, our school support staff, and several others who make library services possible for our students. Very pleased tonight to tell you that we have 5 of our school librarians, all from our middle schools, here to represent all of their colleagues, and I would ask them to come forward, and I think Ms. Pinkerton is going to take a photo. So in no particular order, first, Ms. Sally White from Edward Harris Junior Middle School, Ms. Linda Kennedy from Catherine Albiani Middle School, Ms. Karen Meyer from Samuel Jackman Middle School, Ms. Trudy Summers from T.R. Smedberg Middle School, and Trudy just recently transferred to Smedberg. She spent many years at Toby Johnson Middle School as its librarian. And finally, Ms. Debbie Bro from Joseph Kerr Middle School. And with that, I ask the board to approve resolution number 49, proclaiming April 10th through 16th as National School Library Week.
Thank you, Ms. Penna. Okay. I'd like to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 49, proclaiming April 10th through April 16, 2016 as National School Library Month. Now you can move it.
I'd like to, so move.
A motion to approve from Mr. Perez. Second, Ms. Albiani. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, next up, we have our Public Schools Month, April 2016. Mr. Cerruti.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. In the 1920s, the state of California initiated the annual recognition of the role that public schools play in our communities. April became the month designated to recognize the contributions public schools make to improving the lives of our children, our citizens, and improving society and our democracy. I respectfully request the board approve the resolution designating April 2016 as Public Schools Month and encourage parents and the Elk Grove community to visit our schools and support and contribute to the ongoing success of our tremendous elementary, middle, and high schools.
Thank you, Mr. Cerruti. I would like to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 53, proclaiming April 2016 as Public Schools Month in Elk Grove Unified School District.
Move approval of resolution 53.
I second
Motion
it.
to approve from Mr. Fortuna and a second, Mr. Perez. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have a resolution to eliminate and/or reduce classified positions. Mr. David Riley.
Good evening again, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. The board is asked to adopt the attached resolution to eliminate and/or reduce classified positions due to lack of work, lack of funds pursuant to Education Code Sections 45114, 45298, 45308, and 45117.
All right, thank you, sir. I would like to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 54, authorizing the governing board to eliminate and/or reduce classified positions. Motion to approve from Mr. Madison. Okay, we have a few questions, so we'll pause and take those questions.
Yeah, David, while I was looking at this, a question just came to mind, and I'd like to ask it before the vote. With respect to those positions that are associated with PTA, PTO funds, is what's being reflected, is what being proposed reflective of both decisions that PTAs, PTOs have already made and decisions that have yet to be made? Is it both?
It's both. The moment that the respective PTAs approve this funds, we will reinstate. And everyone understands that this is sort of a matter of law, of course.
Right. I just wanted for me to clarify if it was both of those factors.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, David.
All right, we had a motion to approve from Mr. Madison. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Mr. Perez. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have our board member and superintendent reports. Any colleague have a report for the board? No committee reports? Yeah, you could mention that. I mean, may as well.
I was able to attend, as was Chet and Bobby and Carmine, the IBB training, and I can't stress what a wonderful experience it was. Getting to know more of our staff, which I appreciated, sitting with no one I knew every day and meeting at least 8 new dynamic people that work for us. I think it's just another example of how we are headed, I believe, in the absolute correct direction with excellent people on board. It was a wonderful experience.
Do you want to make sure they know what IBB is?
Interest-based bargaining.
All right, just making sure.
Mr. Madison?
Yeah, I just want to mention, several weeks ago, I attended an all-day Saturday workshop, or board retreat, I should say, for the Elk Grove Regional Scholarship Foundation. And that day, we accomplished a lot about bylaws, policies, and trying to improve the number of scholarships that we will give out in the Elk Grove Unified School District. So it was very informative, and we're looking at some changes being made to the board.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Madison. I also echo my colleague, Ms. Albiani. Interest-based bargaining, 2-day training. It was absolutely fantastic in the spirit of collaboration. You know, we're one of the leaders in the state on collaboration and working with our bargaining unit. So it was great to really truly dedicate 2 days for that and improving our collaboration style and our skills and gaining some more knowledge on how to be better negotiators. So it was fantastic. So I appreciate everybody that was able to attend. Thank you for that. Mr. Hoffman, did you want to add anything?
I just want to give a follow-up with the conversation that I and some other superintendents had with Assemblyman McCarty. Had reported that we were going to have that meeting, and we did on March 17th. Really focused on the early education block grant that's in the governor's proposal currently. I just want to report out that Assemblyman McCarty was very open to the information that we presented, and I think we'll see some adjustments to what will be in the May revision with regards to the block grant. So it was a worthwhile time for sure.
Great, thank you for representing us there. All right, seeing no other reports, I will move on to consent agenda. Mr. Forcina?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda items number 1 through 14.
I'd like to pull some items.
Which one?
I'd like to pull number 10 and number 11.
All right, a motion to approve items 1 through 14 with the exception of items number 10 and 11. We had a motion to approve from Mr. Forcina.
I'll move it.
Motion to approve from Mr. Madison, and a second. Ms. Martinez-Aleri. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All right, Mr. Perez, item 10.
Who would I address this to?
Anna.
Look in your staff report. What is the question, and perhaps our superintendent.
Page 12 of the federal and state program checklist.
Which item are you on?
Page
10 and
12.
11.
You're on 10.
Right, I'm gonna start with 12.
What?
I'm gonna start with item 11, local education
Plan.
agency plan. Or you want me to go back to 11?
Well, numerically, it would make more sense to start with the first
Okay,
item.
number 10. New high school courses. What is the process of getting new high school courses?
I can address it. They can address it.
Mr. Cerruti, that's his department.
Well, it has many components.
We have a formalized process that's facilitated through the Department of Curriculum and Professional Learning. And so we have steering committees, curriculum standards committees, and so recommendations go through and it filters through those various committees, which involves our teachers and district administrators to ultimately determine the approval of those courses.
Is there any community involvement or participation?
Not necessarily. No, it's our staff, it's our teachers, and our district administrators.
Has there been any correspondence or interest of having ethics studies in high schools?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can't necessarily. Do you mean recently, or
Well,
ever?
within the time period you've been here?
No.
No? Has the staff ever considered having ethics studies in high schools?
Again, that'd be something Anna would probably be better able, and Geraldine Ewing, in terms of the conversations that take place. Where those conversations take place would be primarily through our curriculum steering committees. And has that ever come up, for example, with our History Social Science Committee? I'd have to defer that to our folks in Curriculum and Professional Learning who attend those meetings specifically. It's possible, but I can't say for certain.
Yeah, I'd like to see a report. I noticed I did a little quick survey of other high school districts and school districts within Northern California and throughout California, and I see a new trend of having high school ethics studies classes, and I was wondering if staff had ever considered having that.
Well, and it also, it depends specifically what we're talking about in terms of what those courses are and what we're referring to when we use the term ethics, because certainly those concepts of that are addressed in some of our courses, but that'd be something for discussion through our steering committee and our teachers and our district administrators.
And I understand there's also possibly some legislation. So I'd like the staff to possibly come back with a report and see what they consider.
Mr. Perez, those are, again, items that are best to have discussed with one-on-ones. I invite you to meet with Mr. Cerruti and bring whatever data sets that you're referring to so that he has the benefit of what exactly you are talking about and what the courses look like and what schools you're referring to. So since you already have those, I invite you to share those with staff. But these kinds of items, honestly, it's respectful to provide that kind of question to staff beforehand so that they can provide you with the answer. So I invite you to have that dialogue with Mr. Cerruti, and so that he can understand what it is that you were talking about specifically, and then the appropriate staff can address your concern and then bring it in an appropriate manner within what we're looking at here. So I again invite you to have that dialogue with Mr. Cerruti.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next item.
Local educational agency plan.
What's your question?
You had a page number?
Page 12.
Okay. Nicely.
The federal and state programs checklist.
Correct. Do we, on Title I, Part C, Migrant Ed, do we have to this year or the coming year a Migrant Ed program? Or we do no longer have a Migrant Ed program?
I'm looking at my counterpart in terms of programming side and funding side.
Good evening. The checklist that they're referring to on here are these funds that the school district actually receives. We do not receive this migrant funding from the feds. We do have a migrant-funded program through an MOU through Butte County Office of Ed.
Right.
To the county?
Through the
Through the
county,
county.
Butte
Okay.
County.
Why is it that we don't have one through the state or the feds?
Because that's the mechanism in our.
I don't know what the
county.
criteria is for us to specifically request this funding. These are the funds that we request through the consolidated application, which primarily is just Title I, Part A and Part D.
Well, going through this whole list, I can see like there's federal programs and state monies, but yet why don't we go after some of this money, this funding?
Can I jump in here? Because I have extensive background with migrant. Historically, migrant monies have gone
No, I'm
through.
talking about all the general other programs. No, not just.
Well,
talking-
you were referencing, excuse me, I must not hear right, because I heard you talking about migrant education.
I brought that as
And
an
that's what I was responding to, so if I might finish. Historically, migrant education has come through the county offices of education. Yes, there are some districts that do it, but primarily migrant education has been a function of a county office of education, and then services are provided within a school district in a number of mechanisms, either direct by the county office of education or vis-a-vis the school district if the funds that the county office receives are provided to the school district. But what I have to say, and I just want to add it also, this is an item you're discussing that's on the consent agenda. The item has been brought before the board previous times, and every one of us sitting at this table has had an opportunity, one, to ask staff our questions at the point in time the item has previously been brought before us, or two, ask staff that question directly vis-a-vis a phone call or an appointment. So what this does to me is say very clearly, one, you didn't do your work again, and now you're wasting everybody's time.
Excuse me.
Okay,
That's inappropriate. That's inappropriate to say
Mr.
that I did not do my homework. Last time, this was on the calendar, and you took this, Mr. Hoffman took this out of the agenda item. I was prepared the last time, and I'm prepared today. In fact, I found out that it was out of order because the Robert Rules of Order. You did not bring that up to the agenda and asked our board membership to take that off the agenda. I found out that under the Robert Rules of Order, you cannot do that. So you cannot say I was not prepared. And I have, as a board member, I have a legitimate right to bring this question up in front of everybody and throughout our communities that are on TV, our students back there, and anybody else here to bring this up.
Okay.
I have the right to do that.
You
I
do
was
have
told.
the right,
Absolutely,
you have the right to
Okay.
ask appropriate questions at the appropriate time.
This is the
And hold
this
on,
is the
Mr.
appropriate
Perez,
time.
let me finish my sentence. Thank you very much. But it is also appropriate to ask such questions beforehand so that staff can be prepared to provide you with the information that you need. They are here to help us in our
Correct.
decision-making process. But you are required to ask those questions beforehand so that they can provide us the information and not be on the spot and provide that information to you. So once again, it is part of our due diligence. I respectfully ask you to ask these questions of staff because it is your right to ask these questions, but please make sure that you ask them at the appropriate time so that they can be prepared to provide you with what you are looking for.
My asking these questions are not to put our staff on the spot. They are questions that I'm concerned about. There's questions that we have programs within our school district that are underfunded by the state and by the federals. We have, I look at this sheet all through this page 12, there's other gifted, talented education programs. We have gifted and talented education students within our community, but yet we do not seek funds at the state or the federal level. That's what I'm inquiring about. It's not putting staff at the spot. I'm just very concerned that we as board members do not seek these type of fundings at the state and federal dollars. You look at our funding dollars, how much money that the federal government puts out there and we do not seek.
I think Mr. Perez on this, so in all due respect, Board Member Fortuna stated clearly how the migrant education works through the County Board of Education.
Right.
I think that's, now,
Correct.
if we're asking where we want to secure more funding, well, that's another subject that we can pursue.
Right.
To look at it.
Okay, like I said, there's federal migrant ed, there's state federal ed. Yes, we get counties, but is that enough?
Ms. Childers?
You know?
So, having worked on the migrant education program at the State Department
know
of
that.
Education, I'd like to clarify that there is only the federal migrant education program, and the way that works is that the federal government gives the money to the state, which then, although there are some direct funded districts, those were really, it's the model that was phased out, so Mr. Fortuna is correct. Most districts that have a migrant program at all receive those funds or services from a county office of education, which may not necessarily even be their county office of education. The state is carved up into large regions, about 22 of them. So that's why we have our MOU with the Butte County Office of Education. So just to clarify, there are no multiple pots of funding. And the funding that is available is per pupil, so it wouldn't really make a difference what our funding source is because the allotment would be the same.
Right, another piece, this is
Thank you, Ms.
a
Titus.
reflection of the consolidated application, which are the funds that we receive through this process. But some of them do come through the county, so just because you're not seeing a box checked here doesn't mean that we don't have the program and we're not receiving the funding in another way through partnerships with the county. So that's just the way it works. All we're reporting here is the ones that are direct funded that goes through our consolidated application. It's not intended to be an exhaustive list of all of the funding sources that we receive.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification.
Well, thanks for the reply. But yet the bottom line that I'm concerned about is, are we as a district seeking our fair share of state and federal dollars? You know, and when I looked at this other program, school 10th grade counseling, you know, we need counselors in our high schools, you know, and that'd be a great program if we had that within our school districts. So
let's
that's
have our
all I'm
staff.
inquiring about.
Mr.
Okay, let's go on to the next question I have.
Hold on. She would like to respond to some of your statements.
Okay.
I would like to help clarify because some of the data in here that we are requested to fill out by CDE is old data. So the list that you have in front of you are funding sources that no longer even exist through the state. So one of the examples is EIA. That was folded into our LCFF. So by checking these boxes on here, we're just acknowledging the programs that we are still directly funded for, and that the program language within the whole LEA plan is how we're increasing student achievement. So I wouldn't get too hung up on which boxes aren't checked and checked. So for example, Title III immigrant funds, we are a brand new player in that ballgame, and that is effective this fiscal year. At the time that this document was prepared, we didn't know that we were even going to receive those funds. So we try to be as inclusive as the data that we know at that point in time, most of these are not even valid funding sources any longer from the state.
When the flexibility came through, the Tier 3 flexibility, these were the accounts that were rolled into the flexibility of now an LCFF. So it's an old form that we're required to use by the state, but it doesn't actually reflect the programs that are available.
Then maybe we need some footnotes.
Well, we don't add footnotes to this document.
Their document is
Okay.
standardized. Any other questions?
Another issue, like I said, I'm going through pages 35, 36, 37, 38. There's parent involvement. I looked to see how much money we use and spend in parent involvement. It's very little per schools. Why do we so?
I'm getting there.
Mr. Perez?
So here's
Mr.
another one.
Perez.
You have support family
Hold on,
literacy.
hold on.
I'm not
We have a
finding what you're
colleague
looking for
asking
on
a
those
question.
pages.
Ms. Albiani?
Are you ready? Oh, wait. Okay.
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Cerruti.
Oh, I was just saying, I'm not finding specifically what you're looking for, Mr. Perez, on those pages.
We have allocated, generally speaking, in terms of our budget for outreach. We approve that as a board.
We built a department.
Exactly.
Correct. So
Page 47, the one that I'm referring to, the create and maintain ongoing parent groups on campuses, PTA, you know,
You're on
1,200
page
per site.
47 or 37?
Pick
47. Page 47.
Yeah, this is where, Mr. Perez, if we knew the page numbers and questions ahead of time, we could just be much more efficient in answering your questions so you had the information that you need.
Yes.
I read this document about a month ago when it was first came up, Mr. Perez, and I had a meeting with Mr. Hoffman with my page numbers and was able to have all my questions answered there. So I just encourage you that there's no one trying to hide anything, and I have found them more than representative. And as a fellow board member, I would appreciate you giving them the heads up as I sit here and watch you do the work that I got done ahead of time. It just seems like it would be more respectful to all of our time. That's where I believe you have the right to ask every question you want, but I wish you would try to do it ahead of time, because at this point, I could be home.
Well, you have the choice to go home anytime.
Mr. Perez, her point is something that we've all addressed for a very long time. And so, again, it goes back to asking these questions, and again, it's a broken record here. I don't know why you refuse to meet with staff, why you refuse to meet with our superintendent, and ask these questions
I
like
have never
we all
refused to meet with
Then why
the
aren't you
staff.
meeting with them?
I've called many times. They have been in meetings, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So don't tell me that I have not tried to reach out for staff. And when I do call, usually all the time I get the same answer. They're in meetings. So therefore, there's my.
We schedule time anytime you want it. Ms. Avalos sends you out an invitation on a bi-weekly basis, and you don't schedule time with me. I can't speak for what you do with contacting other staff, but I know what happens in my office. I know my other staff meet with other board members on a regular basis. Now, we're crazy busy during the day, so an on-the-fly phone call in the middle of the day that we can drop everything for an individual member, that's very, very difficult to do. We will get back to you and return a phone call, and are more than happy to schedule the time you need to go through any item or anything else that is of interest to you. We look forward to that opportunity, because if we get that done, all of this gets done more efficiently.
Absolutely, and that is something that we've all gone through as part of our board orientation when we have been trained and educated on the process as board members, that we have all gone to these trainings at CSBA. There's no mystery to this. But again, it is asking, and it's also part of establishing a relationship with your superintendent and with your staff. So if you're not getting an answer on the phone right then and there, email your question. I know 100% of the time, 100% of the time my questions were answered beforehand. So, and I know that to be true of every single colleague here, because we are respectful of their time, because it is a very large district. There are a lot of things that they have to do, mainly their job. And so, but they will drop, and they have done a lot for us, and they are here to support us. But again, please, please,
No, the bottom
ask
line,
those
I'm,
questions.
the bottom line, I'm concerned, are we reaching out to the state and the feds for those federal dollars?
Yes.
According to this, the way that this form looks like, maybe we need some help.
Well,
No, the
Compared to
form
other
is
school
not the
districts.
end-all, be-all, and I think that has been stated numerous times.
The most important thing that we can do, Mr. Perez, is when you do have these questions, and it's not to reiterate or what your fellow board members have said, but the documents and the requirements that we have with the federal government and the state, oftentimes these documents are not self-explanatory as documents. We can be very helpful to explain what they are and what they mean, what they contain and what they don't contain, and especially now, with all the transition that's taking place with the new federal law, LCAP, LCFF, we're in a complete state of flux. So a lot of the things that we're actually filling out to a certain degree are dated documents, and it may appear that it's a comprehensive document when in fact it's not even intended to be. So that's why we can, it's excellent that the board is raising these questions, because we can provide the answers to you and the community in terms of what these mean and what these are. And it's extremely valuable to us to have the board actually, and I know you as board members, read everything that we give you, because it was Ms. Albiani who came and met with me after meeting with Mr. Hoffman and pointed out, are you sure this number is what it's supposed to be? One number in one column, and in fact, it was an error. It was an editing error, but that's what had us go back and just say, let us just go back one more time. We'll pull it and delay it by 2 weeks. And so it benefits us all by having those conversations. But that's where we can be helpful, is to explain what some of these forms are, what they do. But in response to your question, are we going after the money? Yeah. We're aggressively going after the money, and we're aggressively going after not only federal and state money, but grant monies as well.
Well, the bottom line, I know for a fact that state of California and school districts in California, we rank almost second, we do rank second to the last on pupil spending per student. That's what I'm getting at. And so is this one of the issues?
That's a completely
that's an
separate issue, and
adequacy
you've had
issue.
too many
I
bottom
agree with
lines
you.
that it doesn't make sense at this point. I think we have discussed this ad nauseum, so with that, I'm going to motion to approve item number 10 and 11.
I second if you've made the motion.
I made the motion, second for Mr. Forcina. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any other items from the floor? Mr. Forcina.
I shudder to take time when it's past 7:30. That was our target. I'd like to bring up 2 points, and I've addressed one of them before publicly and with Donna, and then the second item it really concerns a lot of people. Last night, I attended Sheldon High School's science showcase. And the reason why I bring it up, the science showcase is the 4th annual. The science showcase at Sheldon brings in all of the feeder schools within the region. So Beitzel and Butler and Fite and Tsukamoto were there, Smedberg, Sheldon, and also UC Davis. But what they do addresses all of the things we've been talking about. Certainly, we've had more than one discussion with respect to open enrollment and what the problems are associated with open enrollment. Wonderful example last night of addressing open enrollment, because parents were able to ask questions directly of both staff of Smedberg and Sheldon, and became acutely aware with respect to the programs that are available at those schools. And there was more than one parent that I heard say, I didn't know you provided that. So wonderful that Sheldon does that, gets back into that issue of replication, but it would be great if all of the regions provided a comparable program. Because what they did last night was to showcase student science fair projects, inventions, as well as live experiments. So wonderful opportunity to address opportunities for children, to deal with all of those issues that we've talked about before in terms of parents' lack of information and sometimes misperceptions with respect to what we do at our schools. So I would like to put that on the table for everyone's consumption. The second one that I want to talk about is this Saturday will be Honorable Adriani's Science Olympiad again. The Science Olympiad represents a problem that we've talked about before. We can only ask our teachers to do so much for free. And the reason we don't have Science Olympiad or Olympics at all schools in the district is because somebody has to take the time to do all that organizational work, and it's hundreds and hundreds of hours. And I hope that when we look at stipends and we look at all of those things we do and we don't do, that Science Olympiad, just like performing arts, and we had Dave Hushbeck here tonight, done a wonderful job, has done a wonderful job for many, many years at Pleasant Grove, and has donated I don't know how many hours and certainly thousands of dollars of equipment. But it would be wonderful if all of our elementary schools were in Science Olympiad, which means that somebody has to organize it. That's what it comes down to. That's what it is. And secondly, that we could take a look at having science showcase activities within all of the regions, because it addresses not only the points that we've talked about, but the items we have funded, and in particular that whole parent involvement program that we have going on now. What a better way to have parents be involved and be there with their children. But as I said, having the opportunity to have the direct dialogue before they make decisions about where they're going to send their kids to school. So thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Mr. Forcina. All right, hearing no other items from the floor, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Have a great